because what a nightmare. How are you all? Stop the stream. I'm stopping the stream on the laptop. I'm going to turn the AC off so it's nice and cool. Michelle can get that around the long end of the table and just turn that off for me. And so is anybody in? I'm not going to be able to put the questions up on the screen, but I'm still going to give this a go. Is that better? I could do with a stand, otherwise I'm going to have to hold this the whole show.
In a minute.
Hi everybody. We have got internet to die for. For the first time since we got back to Australia, we've got internet that's really, really good. I might as well go back outside now. And my computer has failed me. Max. Completely screwed up. It's just, I mean, granted, it's super hot outside. It's like, it's 100 degrees plus Fahrenheit, late 30s. So it's, it's super hot. But we were chilling. We were sat there thinking, we can roll with this early today because we've just been listening to music and waiting for it to start. We're all good. We're all good, Dean. So let me just... shall I share out the link on Facebook and the bits and pieces? And then if you can just bear with me a moment, guys. I try and find my questions and go through them. But I want to answer Ed's question early. Ed, thank you for coming in, mate. Hopefully... Are you there, VB Ed? Right, I'm going to get Michelle to stop typing because I need to get some way of actually rolling.
Shout it out.
Yeah, but shouting out's a little less important at the moment.
Stand.
Hey, Florian. I'm just trying to get organised. We started live on this useless MacBook Pro. It's not useless. Michelle, leave it. We can't go out. Getting... Oh... Nightmare. Gone from hero to zero in 5 seconds. I am so over YouTube's interface. Nothing goes wrong. We've got internet that's giving us sort of 50 upload speeds as well as sort of 50 download speeds, and it's we're still not able to get a live stream. And last week we had 0.25 upload speeds. So I was really hoping today, and now Michelle's having to run around and get new stands, because if we're doing a... I'm just going to chill. This isn't look at this laptop sat here, just... It's frozen. So we're going to find a way of getting you guys into a position where I can have a chat with you. Oh, isn't that good? Who's in?
Oh, I can find the other one.
Tell you what I'm going to do. Do people want me to carry on? Because I'm finding it really hard. I've sat here. We've completely organised ourselves. I do apologise. We've completely, now I'm screwing a little tripod onto the bottom of my phone. If it's nothing else, it's a bit of fun. We could not have been more organised today. Literally, could not have been more organised. And could not have been less organised at the same time. Hey Byron. Oh. What is wrong with YouTube? They're stuffing all the small guys, that's annoying me. Good friends of mine, small channels who do so much work are getting a raw deal from YouTube. They can't make any of their live stuff work for the life of them. I mean, it works on the phone here, so we're okay. And I appreciate that it's super hot, but I've just got to roll. Ed asked me, VB Ed, I would have put your comment there, and I just want to quickly answer Ed's question because I know he's got to get off and see a client. Ed asked whether we eat the food that we cook. It might look a little bit like I eat the food that I cook, Ed, but we don't actually. Most of the food Michelle and I either give away. We try not to throw stuff away because I'm not keen on wasting stuff. But most of the stuff we either repurpose. You know, if we're making a lot of things like, say I made the beef jerky some time back, Ed, that's a preserved meat, so we would definitely keep that. But if I make a cake, I almost always give it away, or very, very rarely throw it away. I just can't eat. When we had our kids at home, you could get through this stuff, but when it's just Michelle and I and traveling, we can't eat all that sweet stuff and all that heavy carbohydrate stuff. So that hopefully that answers your question, mate. And I know when I come over to Perth, by the way, are we the wrong way around on this thing as well? I know when I come over to Perth, I owe Ed a lemon cheesecake because he did a great Q&A yesterday with a good mate of mine, Peter Finn, and Pete and Ed were messing around, having a laugh, and he answered one of my questions. So I think I might make a cheesecake with Ed when I see him. So that'd be kind of cool. Now, there's a lot of people ask me this week. I can't throw it up on the screen. I can throw it up on my laptop down here, which is pretty useless because none of you can see it. On the Branston pickle. Now, let me just move the thing around so I can read my laptop. So, Linda, let me just... June Vollins, I know June asked, and then there's how about you guys have a look down here with me? You can't see, can you? I'm not going to do these question and answers this week. I've answered Ed, and there's the lad keeps asking me about the meat. Who's asking me about the meat there?
Okay, that is Iran Cruz.
Iran Cruz, look, I am going to answer your question because you've kindly come on and answered it and asked it several times. You asked me what cut of meat I used on making my beef jerky. You need, we use what we call silverside. In Australia, there are two types of silverside you can buy. A lot of it is brined. If you go in and see corn silverside, it's beef that's been soaked in salt. Corn means corns of salt. So when you see corn silverside, don't use that. It's way too salty and it'll make really bad beef jerky. Although you do want to actually salt your beef jerky, obviously, but corn silverside no good. We use silverside mainly because it has a small amount of fat, like a marbling of fat in it, but not a lot of heavy fat. Now I'm going to ask Michelle to keep an eye on the comments, and I can see them flicking up on the screen here, but they only stay up for about 1/10 of a second, and I've got to lean over and tick them. So what you really want is when you're making jerky, more adjustments, guys. It's like I'm looking up into the sky at you chaps. When you're making jerky, you do get a return for your meat. So what I'm basically saying there, you buy rubbish meat, you do tend to get rubbish jerky. That's a little bit better. You're on my eye level now, not up there. So if you buy good quality beef, you do get good quality jerky. It's the final taste, you know. If the beef tastes good, but you don't want a lot of fat on your beef. You don't want. It's not always the best thing to go for really high quality steak cuts, because you don't always get the best return if it's too lean. So you know, fillets and things are not always the best jerky. You do want a little bit of fat marbling through it. So I think if you look at my jerky recipe, which Michelle's put up, she will put up on this video later. She put it up on the video that failed this morning. You'll see that there. You'll see a slight marbling through the fat, and that makes really good jerky. If you choose to leave the fat on, you do have to be careful, because fat can quite often go rancid if it's not if it's not cured carefully. What do I do to get pecs like that, Alan? Pecs like what, cheeky monkey?
There's lots of people in. Do you want to say hello to them all?
Hello, everybody.
We've got Jan A, who said it's better on the phone.
Jan, wasn't that terrible? This is the top-end MacBook running a really nice camera, a little bit of sunshine, completely died. I mean, it's hot. We were a beautiful setting out in the garden, had all the foliage behind me, and I thought, oh, this is going to be so nice. I got a cold drink, got myself a coffee set up on the side, and then as soon as I went to hit the play button, it just froze. The whole screen just froze. Laptops have all computers have a sort of heat protection built into them. So basically, as things start to get too hot, eventually they'll just switch off. And this was getting that way, I think.
So Logan's Scootering Vlogs and More says hello from New Zealand.
Hey Logan, good day. How are you, mate?
Byron's in. He said hi.
Hey Byron.
How you doing, Tara?
I see Omar there as well from California. Hi. Keith's in. Let me just flick through the names. James.
Kelly says it's 2:20 a.m.
Hey Kelly, 2:20 a.m. That Kelly from
the UK.
Bromakin Girl.
Yeah, Bromakin Girl.
Hi Kelly, what you doing? Go to bed. Stop watching this nonsense.
Doggo Jiff says, oh noes.
Doggo GIFs. I don't know if Ed got in, and I've answered your question there, Ed.
Florian's in.
Hey Florian.
Eliza La Palma says hi.
We'll talk a little bit of food today, but I can't throw up. I had a nice group of questions that I could throw up, not vomit obviously, but literally pop up onto the screen to show you. And oh man, I'm so disappointed, because this is the first time since we got back to Australia nearly sort of 5 months ago that we've had really good internet connection. And I had it all set up. It was going to look beautiful. I put all the makeup on, and I put some nice cologne on, so I smell gorgeous. And it was going to go really well. Bit of a failure, but hey ho, who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? You guys maybe. What's James asking there? James Handy.
Yes, he says, Steve, I love your cooking show. I try a lot of the projects you record. I'm a student at Norwich Technical High School, and I'm studying pre-electrical engineering and applied electronics, but I really want to study culinary. I love it, but never got the opportunity to pursue it.
It's funny, James, because I also studied engineering as a young lad, and we do tend to be sort of spooned into the engineering. You know, as you come out, particularly in the UK, I always remember people were often, boys were sort of asked what they wanted to do, and then told it was probably best to go into computer engineering or structural, mechanical, electrical engineering. It's hard. I don't ever like giving educational advice too much.
He says, I love to cook, and my family says I have a knack for it, and almost all the things I feed them I get from your channel. You're my biggest inspiration to follow my dream of the culinary arts. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. That's nice. Now, if I reach over that way, there must be a camera. Okay, I've got the phone upside down, so the camera's down here. So if I reach across it, you get things. I can only do it with this hand. So as far as your education goes, I mean, it's tricky. I do think we should follow our dreams, but sometimes when you're younger, it's not a bad idea to follow logic and get yourself a degree in something that can give you a solid background, because the culinary world is hard, and it's not always so easy to make a living in. But if you can find, you know, we're always much happier doing things that we enjoy. So there's a balance. If you can see an avenue in culinary that you can make yourself happy, I don't care so much about making a living or paying off your mortgages and all that sort of nonsense, which is what the government would like us to do. you know, the government, all the government really wants us to do is to pay taxes and earn enough to keep them in business as long as possible. They're not really concerned about our happiness in any way. So it's important that you do things that make you happy. So maybe if your family are behind it as well, you should be looking at following a culinary career, but get yourself trained and work, you know, get some work experience. Maybe keep your options open. Was it university?
High school, I think. Sorry, I need to go back. Technical high school.
Yeah, so if you're going to like a technical high school, I guess that's a technical college, there's sometimes ways of keeping that option open for you. That'd be a good thing to do. But really, specifics, follow your dreams, but when you're younger, be careful. Don't overly burn your bridges.
So Brenda Rigdon said, I love Branston pickle. You used to be able to get pan-yan pickle that was similar, lovely with salad and cheese.
No, pan-yan I think it was, wasn't it? Or
I said pan-yan.
Okay.
Pan-yan.
Did she say pan-yan or payam? Payam. Anyway, that's right, you did used to get, which is a very similar, I think it was just a variation. I mean, I got lots of questions. Who? Let's see if I can pull up the questions here. One I know was from June. The problem is I've had to move the computer so far back I can barely read anything. I can barely stretch out to read the thing. So let me see if I can. Is anyone in that asked a Branston pickle question that wants to ask them again? I think a lot of the questions were about storing Branston pickles, so I'll address that. I mean, when you buy Branston pickles from the supermarket, you pop it on in the larder or the cupboard or somewhere like that, and if it says it goes off in 5 years' time, then it does. So you know, or it doesn't. It lasts. So basically, if you've sterilised your jars well, you can store your Branston pickle just in a cool cupboard for months, if not years, to be honest, and it will mature and get better a little bit with age. If you crack your seal on your pickle to open it, sometimes it's worth keeping it in the fridge. It will last longer once it's in the fridge. I don't always do that because I think Branston pickle tastes nicer when it's at room temperature, so I don't like my pickle from the fridge. Some people like their pickle cold, in which case, you know, keep it in the fridge. But I tend to keep my pickles outside. What are you grinning at, Michelle?
Sean said, let's get more likes happening, folks.
Yeah, let's get more likes happening. Hit those likes, and I got to reach over this way with this hand. So intuitively I want to, because the comments are on this side, reach over and sort of cover you all up like this. But hit those likes. That'll be beautiful. Anyone watching?
Alan Murray says, what's your favourite thing to make?
What's my favourite thing to make? I think, Alan, from my old days of living in France and having my little farm there, charcuterie is probably one of my favourite things to make. So sausage, bacons, hams, prosciutto hams, all sorts of things. I just enjoy working with those sort of things. I like also doing cake baking, but I don't overly like filming it. Sometimes I make a cake for someone, I won't film it because it can take the joy out of it. It's a bit like anything in life. When it becomes hard work, it's less joyful. So I love doing really creative things with cakes, but at the same time I don't overly like to film them all the time because it can take the joy out of it, because a cake that might take you a couple of days to make ends up taking you a week to make because you're trying to film all the angles and things like that. So I do like cake decorating, creative things. I like coming up with ideas. What's that? Oh my god, shouldn't
have asked. Now I want charcuterie.
Yeah, me too. Big plate of charcuterie is really one of my favourites. Good cheeses, nice glass of wine, big plate of charcuterie, really good stuff.
Brenda Rigdon says 8:31 and 20 degrees in northwest Florida, feels like home in Liverpool. Oh.
Have we got a clock up anywhere? Have I got a clock on this damned computer?
1:39.
1:39, hot as hell. Laptop frozen, working off phone in Victoria.
Jane Robinson says, hi Stephen, looking good from Narrabeen, New South Wales.
All right, we were up, well, we weren't up as far as Narrabeen's, trying to picture it on the map, it's above, is it above Sydney? Below Sydney. We've just been up in Canberra, we've been up visiting Canberra, just saw a face, Captain Dirt's in. How are you?
Danny Bayless said, would a regular dehydrator on fan-only mode work for dehydrating jerky or possibly fruit juices?
There's two very, very different... I mean, it would work for dehydrating jerky as long as you had the fan getting good airflow through it. You want probably to do that in the warmer months. If you do it, if you're in, like if we did it here in Melbourne now, I could probably just put it out on the table and go out every now and again and just give it a little waft and it would dry. You tend to do a lot of your meat preparation and things in the warmer months towards the end of the summer or the beginning of the summer. So yes, you can absolutely do it with a dehydrator without heat. That's another contentious issue, but trust me, you can, and it really is about getting airflow over the meat to wick away the moisture from the content of the meat after you've done your curing, and that's getting the salt onto the meat to draw the moisture out.
Tree Man says, I'm making jerky today. Also, how long do you marinate the jerky for?
I tend to marinate it overnight, so I give it about an 8-hour to 14-hour marinade. We're looking to really just to use the salts in a marinade. If you're doing a marinade, you can do a dry rub jerky. Michelle will put a link up to the jerky recipe we're talking about, so you can see if anybody wants to make beef jerky. It's a lot of fun to make. There's a lot of contentious questions on the jerky video because people don't believe that you can eat raw beef, and I'm not going to probably address that. Maybe we'll do a special video on jerky one day, Q&A. But yeah, it's really a case of firstly making either a saline solution or a salt rub to draw the moisture out. And it's funny enough, people don't often realise that even if you soak a piece of meat in salt water, so it's basically engulfed in water, the meat will actually leach out the moisture. So the volume of liquid will increase and the meat will start to shrink because it's the salt has a way of leaching moisture out of the meat.
BB says, in your opinion, what's the best type of oil to use when cooking steak?
It does depend on if you're going to see. Often when I cook a steak, so I sound like I'm stuttering, but I like to deglaze the pan. So I'm going to take you outside because we've got people turning up. I'm going to take you out in the garden. So sometimes I like to deglaze the steak. If I can find a shoe or two. We're going back out into the garden. Michelle's going to do a little bit of door opening for me. So this is where we were this morning when we were trying to do this, and this is where it all overheated and went dreadfully wrong. So quite often when I'm doing a steak, I want to deglaze the pan, so I may fry with the dreaded olive oil, but a light olive oil. I may add a little bit of butter into the oil as well, and by adding butter in there, it will start to burn, but I think it adds good flavour. So if you're then going to deglaze the pan, you've got good flavours to start with. If you're just frying a steak, like flash frying, you might want to use something like what's the oil we use? A high flash point oil.
Rice bran oil. Rice
bran oil. We quite often use rice bran oil because it's got a high flash point, so it doesn't a high smoke point, should I say? But it depends if you're going to use. I mean, if you're frying a good steak, you should probably deglaze the pan and make a little sauce out of it. I tend to like to. This is where we were sat. You see, it was look beautiful out here today, but look how hot it is. But people have turned up at the house, so we're just going to get out of the house. I'm staying with friends at the moment, so
So Sean says, Steve, have you heard of a gadget called Rice Cube? It's an invention from Australia.
Nope, never heard of it. What is it, Sean?
And then
It's a play on the word ice cube, so I'm sure it sounds pretty Aussie.
and Army 5678456. So they made sushi on your channel, but I can't find it. My sushi keeps falling apart. But Sean's actually answered that by asking them what kind of rice they use, and they said regular white rice, and he said, "There, that's your problem."
All right, yes. If you use regular white rice to make sushi, it's going to fall apart. You really not got the amount of starches in the rice to help it bond, and that's why I say in my video, if you're watching it, you've got to use a short grain rice or a Japanese sushi rice. They're very, very different from a medium grain or a basmati or a long grain rice or jasmine rice. You just really can't get good sushi from those sort of rice. It has to be a short grain rice so that you get the gluten build up. And when I say gluten, we're not talking about gluten as in wheat flour gluten. It's a very different. The word gluten does not mean the type of gluten that people are gluten intolerant to. It comes from a Latin or Greek word or that means sticky. So sticky rice.
And Franz Berghoff says rice cookers as good as 2-to-1 cooking old style in a pot to serve it right away.
I don't understand that question. Michelle's read it to me, but I don't understand that. If she wants to explain it to me, but I can be a little bit sort of. Was that a question?
I think it's saying that rice cookers are good as the 2-to-1 cooking in a pot recipe, but 2-to-1 ratio you don't agree with anyway.
No, rice cooking in 2-to-1 ratio in a pot is a silly way to cook rice, and it's a wasteful way. Cooking on a stove should always be 1-to-1, 1 cup of rice to 1 cup